I am here to share some significant updates concerning the Chicago Bears. Lately, there have been signs that a particular player is feeling discontent with the current circumstances. On a positive note for the Chicago Bears, there is some encouraging news from the NFL prior to the schedule announcement. Moreover, an intriguing rumor is making rounds online, suggesting that someone claims to possess the complete Bears schedule. Whether this claim holds true is yet to be determined, and we will dig deeper into that shortly. In a notable first, the schedule will be revealed through a live broadcast scheduled for 7 o'clock Central Time. Typically, the full schedule can be accessed a week ahead of time. The live stream is expected to kick off around 6 o'clock Central Time. It is essential to stay updated and engage with the daily and free content concerning the Chicago Bears. Now, if you notice this thumbnail, you have certainly landed in the right place. Let's examine the situation with the previously mentioned player. There seems to be considerable frustration regarding ongoing contractual discussions with the team. This player arrived at the facility today, not for practice, but to address the media. Reports suggest that there was an extensive briefing with the press, where many emotions were expressed candidly. The word disappointed was frequently used, and it was noted that earlier remarks have been withdrawn. When asked directly if there would be a continuation under the existing agreement, the answer was a clear no. Stay tuned for further updates on this situation. Additionally, it has been communicated that the head coach sent out a notice indicating financial penalties would be imposed if attendance at the mandatory minicamp was not met. This unclear communication from the team has understandably left the player feeling quite frustrated. Mention was made of the head coach communicating that attendance at the mandatory minicamp was crucial, or else fines would follow. This lack of clarity has resulted in frustration stemming from the team's poor communication practices. The current contract, worth $16 million, is one that this player is unwilling to continue under, especially after advocating for a new deal a year ago. At that time, with 2 years left on the contract, there was a choice to play, excel, and anticipate better recognition from the team in the following season. However, that expectation has not materialized, and the player remains at $16 million, while others in the same position are earning significantly more. It is reasonable to see why there is hesitance to remain in such an unfavorable situation. Given the financial commitments already made to key players, it seems improbable that the team's offer will improve, making a trade a more feasible option. For the Chicago Bears, who have been active this offseason with a youthful, promising roster and a hopeful coaching staff, the pivotal question is whether to take a chance on this player to reinstate competitiveness, which has been lacking for some time. A potential trade scenario could involve offering a fifth-round selection in return for a second-round pick. Merely attempting to secure a third-round pick may not be adequate, and there could also be consideration of pairing a third-round pick with another player, though parting with a first-round pick may not be necessary. Therefore, a trade consisting of a second-round selection along with a fifth could plausibly facilitate the player's exit from the current roster. At 30 years of age, a substantial salary expectation is likely, which any team aiming to negotiate would find reasonable, especially within the NFC looking to acquire talent from the AFC. The team that decides to take on this player will need to dedicate a considerable amount of resources. The minimum valuation remains uncertain, perhaps aligning with what premier players earn, but this will depend significantly on the expectations set by both the player and their representative. A negotiation with the Cincinnati Bengals, especially with a team from the National Conference, could be a viable alternative to move him away from the American Conference. Now, it will be necessary to offer a value that will not be low. What will be the minimum acceptable? I'm not sure, but something around what Boza or Crosby earns could be a starting point. If I were in his position, I would aim for an amount higher than Danielle Hunter's, who had a contract extension worth $35,600,000 for 1 year. Therefore, he might be signed for something between $33 and $35 million, as long as you sign a 3-year contract with most of it guaranteed. This could solve the situation. I don't believe it will reach Myles Garrett's value, but if I were representing him, I would suggest starting around 36. He wants to stay among the highest paid, knowing that Micah Parsons will probably surpass him, as will TJ Watt. Therefore, he wants to ensure he is among the top 4 or 5. Moreover, he is aware that this is his last chance to sign a good contract. So, I do not blame him for his frustration. $16 million for what he brings is indeed an insignificant amount. It is relevant to mention that any team acquiring him will have to consider the impact on the salary cap of $16 million for the next season. Looking at the Bears situation, they would need to extend him, and I believe any interested team should already have a plan in mind to minimize the financial impact this year, something the Bears would need to take into account given their financial state for the year 2025. Here is my contract projection. Whether it is a new 3-year contract, a 3-year extension, or a 2+2, considering the year he still has left, the total would be 3 years and $108 million, with $36 per year and $95 guaranteed, which would be a substantial amount. This amount would be considerable to secure the hiring of a player like Trey Hendrickson for the coming years. However, if you're a part of one of these teams, and we're talking about the Bears, if you believe he can take them to a new level, he has 35 sacks over the last 2 years. He had a season with 14 sacks in 2021 and has consistently ranked among the top 3 or 4 in quarterback pressure over the years. Moreover, he already has a good relationship with Dennis Allen, which would facilitate his adaptation. He and Montez Sweat could form the starting duo, while Dio Dombua could play a versatile role on the defensive line. In the last 2 years, he accumulated a total of 14 sacks in his 2021 season. He has consistently been among the top 3 or 4 pass rushers for several years, and his familiarity with Dennis Allen would make his integration quite smooth. He and Montez Sweat could be the starting duo, while Dio Dombua could act as a versatile option on the defensive line. Despite having a high cost of $16 million per year, this represents a serious commitment and a bold decision. I understand the hesitation, especially considering how much has already been invested in Bo. The question that arises is what happens if Caleb doesn't develop as expected? If you make several high-risk bets and he does not prove to be the solution, that is a legitimate concern. The risks are undeniable, but management also highlighted the importance of building a rotation of pass rushers. Looking at the current roster, it can be said that there is some depth at the defensive tackle position. However, I am not sure if the same can be said about the edge position, as besides Sweat, Dingbois, and Booker's situations present many uncertainties. While Booker is still an unknown, Dingbois is a solid player, but he is not yet fully established. I believe Trey Hendrickson could elevate that defensive line to a dominant level. He would become their top pass rusher, while Montez Sweat would take on a role as edge number 2, excelling against the run and contributing as a secondary pass rusher. You would have about 4 or 5 defensive tackles with whom you would feel confident. Adding just one player could elevate this group from mediocre to above average, possibly even in the elite range. The impact he could bring is significant. Ultimately, it all comes down to whether you are willing to accept that risk and make a considerable investment. If it doesn't work out, it would truly be a significant investment. However, this is the ideal scenario for this kind of move, especially when you have a rookie quarterback you trust who is on a low-cost contract. Personally, I would tend to support that decision. However, I suspect the Bears may choose not to go down that path because if they had that intention, we would likely have heard rumors about their strategies earlier in the offseason before the investment in a player. But if you tell me that Hendrickson could be acquired for a 3rd-round pick, I would believe they should try. If that involves a financial commitment, so be it. With ample cap space in the following years, Hendrickson's contract could be accommodated. It is likely there were discussions about making this move earlier in the offseason before investing a certain amount. However, I'm not sure if it was mentioned that acquiring Hendrickson for a 3rd-round pick is feasible. If this requires a considerable investment, then it is what should be done. There is a significant amount of cap space available in the following years that could accommodate Hendrickson's contract. This year's cap management can be effectively handled. You could extend Tooney's contract to minimize its financial impact this season. A financial solution is feasible. I frequently receive messages saying there are no resources available, but there is enough flexibility through restructures, cuts, or extensions. If there is a genuine desire to pursue this path, it can be achieved. I'm not sure if that interest exists or if they're willing to take on the risks involved. If they decide not to move forward, I won't be disappointed. Overall, The offseason has been quite positive, but this move could strengthen the team significantly. If the offense performs well, Hendrickson could elevate the defense to a potentially superior level. If he maintains his level of play, which I have no reason to believe will decrease in the coming years, his effectiveness has been remarkable. Should the Bears fully commit to acquiring Trey Hendrickson? Answer Y for yes or N for no. Share your thoughts on this matter. Now, changing the subject, the Bears received some favorable news just before the full schedule announcement tomorrow night. Let's discuss that shortly. First, think about the possibility of acquiring Colston Loveland jerseys from the website mentioned in the comments and description if you want to support number 84. Recently, an intriguing tweet circulated attributing interesting information to someone. Based on opponent calendars and the completion of international games, it was possible to calculate the travel distance for each team this year. The Bears have one of the shortest distances, just over 12,000 miles, compared to the 37,000 of the team with the longest travel. This means they travel about a third of that amount over 18 games. It's understandable that most teams use private flights and have comfortable travel arrangements, but I believe this is something worth highlighting. In total, they have the fifth shortest distance, just over 12,000 miles, compared to the 37,000 of the leading team. Therefore, a third of that total is relevant over 18 games, and I know these teams, most of the time, use private flights providing comfort. However, I think this is important, especially if there are older players on a roster, which the Bears don't have much of, but this could contribute to winning one more game over 18 games. I believe it can. If you face the right team at the right time, based on travel, I really think that makes a difference. Overall, remember that last year, early on, the Bears had good opportunities with their schedule, especially regarding when to face their opponents based on injuries. In the NFL, it's often about when you face a team, right? I remember that in the first year of the new management, the Bears faced the 49ers in Week 1, and I thought they could beat them, even though that Bears team was weak, because the 49ers historically start slow. It was Trey Lance's debut as a starter. Often, the schedule is decisive, so pay attention to that as we approach tomorrow night. It's about when you face teams, not just who you face. By the way, the schedule will be revealed tomorrow night. We'll be live, as mentioned earlier, but we already know some scheduled games. The Packers at home, in Week 16, have already been announced as part of a special Fox event on December 20th. And the Eagles in Week 13, on Black Friday, a day after Thanksgiving. This game will start at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Central Time. There are speculations about Bears and Commanders on Christmas. I believe it's a viable possibility. We'll have to wait and see if this actually materializes or not. Now, about a rumor circulating online. A Twitter account, which usually posts betting-related information, has about 4,000 followers. So who can say? I don't know if he's just speculating or if he received information about the schedule. Maybe someone who worked for the league or for the Bears. Sometimes this happens, and leaks become accurate. Other times, they're just fiction. Sometimes they are partially correct. No one knows. He made this post here. There is uncertainty about whether there is ongoing speculation or if someone had access to information about the schedule. This may refer to someone connected to the league or the team. On some occasions, such information proves to be true, while other times it may be misleading. There are times when the data presented is only partially correct. Recently, information was disclosed on social media, showing the team's schedule, which includes confirmed matchups, such as the game on Black Friday against a rival and a match in Week 16. The team will also face another opponent in the week of Christmas and start the season playing against Minnesota. Of the first 9 games, 6 will be on the road, which could present a considerable challenge. Therefore, the reliability of this information is questionable. The full schedule should be released tomorrow, but rumors and leaks are already circulating. The Week 1 game promises to be particularly interesting, especially with a standout player making his debut and another contributing with the offensive coordinator in search of a fresh start. This scenario would certainly generate a lot of anticipation and, if it happens, would likely be highlighted as an important Sunday afternoon game. However, once again, the accuracy of this information is still uncertain. Some news is expected before the full release of the schedule tomorrow night. In the morning, a famous morning show is expected to reveal some details about the schedule. It is unclear if this will be related to a specific game, the Week 1 matchup, or possibly several games. More information will be available tomorrow morning. Additionally, an important streaming service is expected to announce the 2 scheduled Christmas games, but the exact timing is still unknown. There is speculation that the team will be included in one of these games, but there is also speculation about another team facing a rival on Christmas Day, which was recently confirmed for November. Therefore, the situation is still open for clarification. The full schedule will be accessible tomorrow night, and there will be live coverage for it. In Week 1, if there was an opportunity to choose an opponent, which team would be preferred for Chicago? Opinions can be discussed in the comment section. It is essential to stay tuned to updates and the complete schedule revelation. A video should be released tomorrow morning or early afternoon if any new leaks about the schedule emerge. A live session is scheduled for around 6 o'clock Central Time, although the timing may vary slightly depending on the day's events. However, there will definitely be coverage before 7 o'clock when the schedule is officially revealed. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In an unexpected twist that has shaken the NFL to its core, rumors have emerged suggesting that the Chicago Bears could be considering a blockbuster trade involving their star cornerback Jaylon Johnson for none other than Pittsburgh Steelers pass rusher extraordinaire T.J. Watt. If true, this deal would send shockwaves through the league, altering the landscape of both defenses and sparking intense speculation about the motivations behind such a high-profile swap. Jaylon Johnson has been a consistent force in the Bears' secondary since his arrival in Chicago, quickly establishing himself as one of the league's top cornerbacks. His ability to shut down opposing receivers with impressive coverage skills and strong tackling has earned him a reputation as a key pillar of the Bears' defense. However, as the team looks to the future, it seems that Chicago might be pondering a bold move to bolster their pass rush, an area where the Bears have often struggled. Enter T.J. Watt, one of the most dominant defensive players in the NFL today. Watt, a former Defensive Player of the Year, has been the heart and soul of the Steelers' defense for several seasons. His explosive speed, relentless pursuit of the quarterback, and knack for game-changing plays have made him one of the league's most feared pass rushers. With multiple double-digit sack seasons under his belt, Watt's name is synonymous with defensive excellence, and any team acquiring him would immediately see a major boost to their pass rush capabilities. The rumored trade has left NFL insiders, fans, and analysts reeling. On one hand, the Bears would be trading away a cornerstone of their secondary, someone who has the potential to be a top cornerback for years to come. However, on the other hand, they would be receiving one of the most impactful defenders in the league, someone who can completely alter the trajectory of a game with his ability to pressure the quarterback. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, the idea of parting ways with a player of Watt's caliber is a tough pill to swallow. His leadership on the field and his ability to take over games are invaluable assets to the Steelers' defense. However, with rumors circulating about the Steelers' potential cap situation and their long-term defensive strategy, the team might be open to the possibility of trading Watt in exchange for a younger, more versatile asset like Johnson, who could provide them with stability in the secondary for years to come. Despite the shocking nature of these rumors, there are no official statements from either the Bears or the Steelers confirming the trade talks. However, the buzz surrounding this potential move has ignited passionate debates among fans and analysts alike. Some argue that the Bears could benefit from bringing in a player like Watt to create a more balanced defensive unit, while others believe that trading away Johnson could be a major risk, considering how important lockdown cornerbacks are in today's pass-heavy NFL. For now, the NFL world is left in suspense as the possibility of this trade looms large. If the rumors turn out to be true, the ramifications for both teams could be enormous. The Bears' defensive identity could be reshaped, and the Steelers might be taking a step back in terms of their pass rush dominance. But with a player like T.J. Watt, anything is possible, And this trade could very well be the game changer that both teams need to alter their fortunes for the foreseeable future. Whether this deal materializes or not, one thing is for certain. The NFL landscape will never be the same again. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.